Welcome to episode 3 of Crypto Hoops and Tunes with Coach Munchko. It's our holiday special. Today we're going to get into Bitcoin halving. Is the bull run about to start or not? And go over my number 2 holding Cardano. We did Polygon Matic last time around. Jump into hoops on the top 25 this week and the remaining unbeatens, and then a great game that I saw yesterday with Arizona and Florida Atlantic. And then to close out in the spirit of the holidays, we'll go through my top 5 Christmas songs. So to start with some terminology, let's talk about TVL, total value locked. It's a term you'll see quite often. It's used to determine the total dollar value of assets locked or staked on a blockchain. So you'll see, Ethereum's total value locked is, I think, they're number 1. Polygon, Arbitrum. You can go to, there's a couple websites you can go to and check out TVL on the various blockchains, but good indicator of how much usage a particular blockchain is getting. So very useful to look at. And then the Bitcoin halving, which we're just a couple months away from right now, it's considered the most important event on the crypto calendar. It's where the Bitcoin mining rewards are cut in half. So this ends up reducing the number of new coins that are entered into the network, thereby impacting future supply, and assuming that demand stays the same or increases, that results in the price going up for Bitcoin. And with the Bitcoin halving coming up, it's expected in April of 2024, the Bitcoin ETFs, the SEC starting to look like they're going to lower interest rates in 2024. There's a lot of positive things that are happening to Bitcoin and coming up this year, and that's going to have a big impact on the crypto market overall. So let's take a look at that Bitcoin halving. The first halving was back towards the end of 2012. The second one was in the middle of 2016. The last one that we went through was around the middle of 2020, and we're expecting April of 2024 here. But what you can see is there is a cycle of prices. I guess the prices go through a cycle based on the halving cycle. And you can see in 2012, the Bitcoin price was at its lowest just a few months before the halving. And then 6 months or so after the halving, it reached a new high. We look at the 2016 halving, we see the same type of rhythm, if you will, between each of the halving events. So again, in halving in 2016, a couple months before we hit our low, 6 months or so after, 6 to 9 months after, we reached a new high. In 2020, 6 months before, we hit our new low. Maybe 3 or 4 months afterwards, we hit our new high, and here we are heading into the halving cycle in April 24. And the question is, if we hit our low already, or can we expect to see another drop down? Now, we're going to take a look at the overall crypto market and what's been happening over the last few months, but we're right about here and just 4 months before the halving. So this may indeed be our low, and we may be in a little mini pump here heading into the halving event. You can also see as the halving happens, we typically see some kind of pullback, sometimes a little bit bigger than the others, but I'm sure we're going to see another pullback before it's all said and done with the halving, before we go up. And again, with all the different events, with the halving, the Bitcoin ETF coming up here, most likely in the beginning of January, the interest rate, SEC lowering interest rates, there's going to be a lot of capital flowing into the market, and this could be what they're calling a super cycle this time around. So where are we in that cycle? So we got this cheat sheet, and some of you may have seen this before. It's something, these 2 slides are really good to know where when you're coming into the market, where are you in the market? When I first got in, I didn't know anything about the cycles. And I jumped in basically right near this all-time high back in the end of 2020, beginning of 2021. And I started buying some cryptos, not realizing that the halving had already occurred. We had likely reached our peak, and we were about ready to go into the bear market. So I ended up buying a number of cryptos at very high prices, and since that time I've held on to them, and one of my main goals was to dollar cost average back into them and lower my average price, which I have done a fairly decent job of. As an example, when I first bought Cardano, I think it was at $2.10, and I thought that was a good deal then. But when we take a look at another one of these charts later on, you'll see that that probably wasn't the best time to buy Cardano or any other crypto for that matter. So let's take again, go back to this cheat sheet. So the question is, where are we now? So if you look over on our last cycle, top of our cycle was back in 2021. We've obviously been a bear market, going through the panic and the anger of the prices dropping on our holdings. And you get to the bottom of the market, and that goes back to our previous slide. Is this truly our low for this halving cycle? And if it is, then we might be coming out of it right now. And everybody's a little cautious right now. It has the upswing that we've seen, the uptick that we've seen over the last 2 or 3 months, really been the start of the bull market, or is it a sucker's rally and we're going to see it go down again? And if so, if we are in the beginning of the rally, we're probably somewhere over here on the left-hand side in the hope, where we're thinking that we have gone up, but this really isn't the bull market. This is likely the beginning of the bull market. Right now we're kind of experienced some sideways pricing over the last week or two. And my feeling is that when the Bitcoin ETF hits here in the beginning of January, we're going to see a price jump, and I expect it to be a decent price jump. Not the top, because we still have to go through the actual halving event, but I think we're going to start up this ladder and start to see some prices coming in. So, are we in the bull market? My personal opinion, not financial advice. I think we're in this, coming out of this disbelief into this hope phase, looking for this Bitcoin ETF to really take us up to another level. And again, I've been buying over the last couple of years while we've been in the bear market and the prices have been low. Is it too late to get into crypto? I don't think so. You got to look at a couple pullbacks in the coins you're interested in, and then dollar cost average along the way. And again, keep an eye on this 4-year cycle, our halving cycle. Where are we in the cycle as it relates to the actual halving event? Because typically you're going to see prices peak somewhere around a year after the halving event. And then at some point, they're going to start dropping back down again. So you have to keep an eye on that to know, should I be buying, should I not be buying? And then once we hit these new all-time highs, when is the time to sell? And again, you have to come back and look at this halving cycle to see where you are, to see if it's a good time to sell or not. So let's take a quick look at Cardano. Founded in 2015 by Charles Hoskinson and Jeremy Wood. Charles Hoskinson's a very highly regarded leader in the crypto industry. He's pretty much the face of Cardano. There's 3 main arms of Cardano in terms of how it's operated on a day-to-day basis. There's a Cardano Foundation that looks to standardize and promote the ecosystem. There's IOHK, which is the engineering arm responsible for building the actual blockchain, and then Emergo, which helps for the funding and the commercial application. So those are the three branches. Charles heads the whole thing up, and it's a well-run organization. If I'm looking at it from a corporate perspective, Charles is a very good leader. Their organization operates very well. Cardano has never seen an outage on its network. That's an indication of how they go about developing the blockchain, but very reliable, dependable crypto. So the website, if you go to cardano.org, here's your website. And there's a bunch of things in here you can take a look at. There's got a section for the developers if you're looking to build an application on Cardano. They got some information here on staking, Cardano Explorer information, just general information on what is ADA. Talk about some of the wallets. At the enterprise level, you'll see some information on education and so on. A very solid website. And I did want to stop here and take a look at the Cardano roadmap. So again, Cardano started out in 2015. The Shelley stage was where they introduced staking. That was 4 or 5 years ago. The Goguen is where they introduced smart contracts, and that was one of the big events, because now that gave the developers access to these smart contracts to develop their applications, and this is when everybody really started building on Cardano. And we'll take a look at their ecosystem in a minute, but that was huge. And now we're in scaling, in the scaling stage, Basho. There's been a number of different things that have come out. There's been Midnight, a couple other things that are coming out, moving into the governance stage here, where it's a completely decentralized crypto. So these things are looking to be released sometime in 2024. Next, let's go take a look at the ecosystem. I'm losing my voice here, so I apologize for that. So this is a Cardano Cube, and this basically gives you an insight to all the different projects, applications being developed on Cardano. And you'll hear some of the naysayers talk about how Cardano is a dead blockchain, but it is absolutely not a dead blockchain. Month to month, it's typically in the top 1, 2, or 3 on GitHub in terms of number of developers going on in there. When you look at the DEX, MinSwap is their number 1 exchange, one that I use quite a bit. I also use Wing Riders. I'm getting involved in TeddySwap. I got into that early, it's getting ready to release here very shortly. But there's a number of good projects out here. The green indicates that it's out there and being used right now. Different wallets. I actively use Eternal, Giro. Nami is one of the first ones I got. Yoroi, and I also use Ledger, hard wallet. Infrastructure, I mentioned Midnight, that's coming out here shortly. That's going to be a side chain to help the scaling. And you can just go down here, lending and borrowing, DeFi. There's all kinds of projects. LendFi, I got involved in that early on when it was known as ADA. It's doing quite well as is Indigo. Wing Riders just launched a launch pad, Genius X as well. But you can see there is all kinds of stuff going on Cardano. and one of the main reasons why I'm a big advocate for them. NFT projects, that'll pop up. You got a bunch of NFT projects, marketplaces. JPEG Store is the one that's predominantly used. But some things for you to go out and take a look at, play around with. If we go to the pricing chart, let's go back over here to CoinMarketCap, and I forgot to go through this. Here's the price chart for the overall crypto market since 2014, and you can see it reached its peak right out here, October 2021, it was right around 3 million, I think, at the top, before we took our big dive and plummeted it down into the 800. It took basically a 75-80% hit on the overall market. And here we are, we're starting to make this comeback. Right now we're at 1.68 trillion, which is about half the market cap of the last all-time high. And they're expecting the market cap this bull cycle to at least hit 6 or 7 trillion. So that means we got another 4x at least in the market cap. So again, the Bitcoin ETF, the halving event's really going to drive that up. Bitcoin's going to be a couple $1 trillion coin here before it's all said and done, and it's going to bring up the altcoins as well with it. But let's get back to Cardano. So if I go to my watch list that I put together here, it'll pop up for me. So I got this watch list on CoinMarketCap of all the different coins that I have or that I'm interested in looking at. And if we go down to Cardano, it's up 3% in the last week, a little over a percentage point in the last day. And we are sitting at 61 cents. And I mentioned that when I first got involved in Cardano, I bought in around $2.10. And let me zoom out here. And I got to go all the way. I got to go back a little bit more. Let's do the all-time here. So again, that would put me at $2.10. I was actually buying on the way down. What a knucklehead I was back in those days. Right around October 6th, October 2021, which lined up with the releasing of smart contracts, which is why that price went up so much. So I bought in at $2.10, and I started averaging down, and we got all the way down into the 23, 24 cent mark. And if I go back to, and I've been dollar cost averaging, and I've gotten myself down now to about a average cost of 66 or 67 cents from that $2.10 purchase price that I initially had. And you can see over the last month and a half or so, we've gone from 24 cents all the way up to 61. That's about a 250 or 150% jump from where we were. So it's doing quite well. If we go back and we think about that all-time high was $2.90, that's about a 5x from here. The market cap of Cardano, let's go back to our cryptocurrencies here and look at them all. And Cardano right now is sitting at a market cap of 21 billion. And during the last bull run, when it hit $2.90, it was up to a little over 90 billion. So again, that's going to I think that's something that's very doable at least. And if you think about it, back in October 2021, there were just 2 or 3 different applications that actually had been rolled out on Cardano, and now we've got hundreds. So the use case is there now, and I expect, you'll hear prices anywhere between $5 and $10 a coin. That would be fine by me. If we're at 61 cents, a 10x would take us to a little over $6, and I think that's very doable. So I've been in Cardano now again since that October 2021. I got a decent sized bag, and I bought into some of the other applications that are out on there. If we go back to my watch list, let's see, what do we have here? We talked about Polygon the last time. SingularityNet is a artificial intelligence app that sits on Cardano. Big fan of that. AI is one of those narratives in this bull run that everybody's expecting to go big. So I've been DCAing into Ajax for quite a while now. I hold some MinSwap. Min is the token for the MinSwap exchange. I got some there, and its price has been going up a little bit. What else? Hosky is a meme coin on Cardano that I've just been playing for fun with. Cornucopias is a gaming project on Cardano. Charlie 3 is a Oracle. Endmaker is a new music app that's coming out here very shortly. So I really like Cardano. I think it's a very reliable, dependable layer 1 blockchain. They're known for being slow to their releases, and they are, but they go through a very rigorous process, peer reviewing their code and doing all the various testing before they release it. They want it to be working well when it gets released, and by the fact that we haven't had any downtime, knock on wood, since its release way back in 2017, I just think they're doing it the right way. So there's your Cardano. I don't think I had anything else left on there. Price prediction, I'm going to go with at least $6. That's going to be my min, just a little bit more than the previous all-time high. So we'll see where it goes from there. So let's jump into some college basketball and head over to the top 25. So for those of you who don't know, I've coached basketball for about 30 years, about 25 of it at the junior college level, about 5 years at high school. I'm back in high school again here. So I've been around the game for a long, long time. I've been to 25 consecutive Final Fours. That's my annual trip with the guys. So Purdue jumped back up to the number 1 spot. Arizona was there. They got knocked off. But Arizona is just, they're an outstanding program. I'm going to talk a little bit more about them in a second in that game they had with Florida Atlantic. But touching also on the remaining 3 unbeatens, we got 3 left. We got Houston at 11-0. And please get rid of this thing for me. Oklahoma just lost the other night to, who did they lose to? I can't remember off the top of my head. Oh, North Carolina. They lost to North Carolina at North Carolina, so that's not a bad loss. The other 2 remaining undefeateds besides Houston are James Madison, who's currently ranked 20th. They opened up the season at Michigan State with a big win, and since then their schedule hasn't been very daunting. But if you go on the road and beat Michigan State and then you run off 9 more after that, you're doing something right. So very looking strong for JMU. And then the last one is Ole Miss at 25. I looked at Ole Miss's schedule. their schedule, strength of schedule compared to James Madison's pretty good, but James Madison's riding the high of that win at Michigan State, who has since fallen out of the top 25. So the other thing I wanted to touch on was at the time of this recording, we're talking December 24th. Yesterday on the 23rd, out in the Desert Classic, Arizona played Florida Atlantic, and Florida Atlantic was the darling of the NCAA tournament last year. They're coached by Dusty May, and they were down in the first half by double digits, came back to take the lead, and then it was a battle back and forth the last 10 minutes of the game in both overtimes. It was a great, great game. Tommy Lloyd, since he's came down from Gonzaga, has just turned Arizona into a top-flight program, and that was just those two guys going against it. Their players just compete like there's no tomorrow. Neither team, when they got down, quit. They just kept battling back, and that's just a sign of a great team. And I think both of them are going to be a force when it comes to the NCAA tournament. I threw in the box scores here. If you look at the box score, these green boxes are where the team had the advantage. Arizona shot 85% on 26 free throw attempts. They had 23 offensive rebounds, and that's a weakness that Florida Atlantic has. They're not a big team, but they just play well together and tough, but they're going to have to shore up their rebounding if they're going to make another run in the NCAA tournament here in a couple months. They got out-rebounded 52-39, and if you look at the shot attempts, Arizona was 33 for 85. Florida Atlantic was 36 for 72. So those offensive rebounds really contributed to more shots that, when you think about it, probably kept Arizona in the game a little bit. Assists, 18-11. Steals, Arizona had 12. Florida Atlantic, 9. Florida Atlantic had 4 more turnovers. But the key to that game was John L. Davis for Florida Atlantic. He's a 6'4" guard. He was on fire, had 35 points on 15 of 27 shooting, and he was just going after it, getting it done. He reminds me a lot of Bernard King back in the old days with the New York Knicks. He's kind of got that size and shot release, very similar. But when you look at this game, it was just a great game, very evenly matched. Came down to the last possession. I'm looking forward to seeing more of these two teams over the course of the season. So let's wind this up with my top 5 Christmas songs. We're already running way late. Number 5, Father Christmas by the Kinks, was released back in '77. I told you guys before, I'm a 70s, 80s classic rock, yacht rock kind of guy. Kinks fall into that classic rock category. And then the other ones I got on here, Feliz Navidad by Jose Feliciano. Nice catchy tune. And then 3 old timers, Holly Jolly Christmas by Burl Ives. Classic White Christmas by Bing Crosby. That's one that probably everybody has on their number 1, but I like It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year by Andy Williams. Used to listen to that all the time at my grandparents' house back in the day during the Christmas season, so it kind of stuck with me. So there's my top 5. If you get a chance, go out on your Spotify or iTunes or whatever, pull those up, take a listen. Tell me what you think, not only about these Christmas songs, but what do you think about crypto moving forward? Are we still in the disbelief stage, or we got a little bit of hope to what's going on here? What's going to happen with the Bitcoin ETF? Are we going to get a big jump up and then another jump when we get to the halving itself? And if there's any college basketball teams you want me to take a look at and do a quick review, put that in the notes below too, and I'll go ahead and do that. With that, hope everybody has a happy holiday season. Merry Christmas to you all, and we'll see you in the next one. See ya.